You guys are finally here.
The Earth looks beautiful from here, isn't it?
Yes. And with that perfect view, let's start our show from the moon.
Welcome to our show.
We are the Happy Hippies.
You must be thinking, what are we going to show you here?
You will watch us talking to you, and then you will see what we do here, why we are doing this, and you will see the change happening.
Yes, the changes on Earth which made us make this show from the moon.
Changes can be good too. Like this show.
Yes, this show is about change, guys. And about those who are bringing the change.
You can be here too. Join us.
You would see the change makers coming here. What you will see are their stories, our interactions with them, and this is our work here. Let's start now. Flashback.
So we are Happy Hippies. We are the Gen Zs of 2024. But by chance, we have to shift to, moon. Why? Because of all the things happening around the world, obviously. And for this wonderful reason that I have today to meet ma'am is that she is doing something brilliant for us. If we had the solution before, then we would have never went to moon. Moon was a dropping idea. In 2024, we would have never been into the moon. But now, as we all can know, we can't change the situation. But we have got some solution by Renuka ma'am because she is doing something for us. So we would like to know what Renuka ma'am is doing for us.
Thank you, Happy Hippies, for having me. And I hope that a lot of warriors like us are able to, keep your hippies like you happy by the work that, a lot of people are doing around environment and protection, climate change. So to tell you in a gist what we do, we try to reduce the carbon footprint that goes in making the food that we eat. And how do we do that? We do that by reducing the amount of fertilizers that we need to add to the soil. And also by protecting the crops against the climate change fluctuations, so the farmers can ensure good harvest every time he plants any crop. So we're trying to address these challenges using some biotechnological tools and some very tiny, often considered insignificant microorganisms.
No, ma'am, that is a wonderful exposure that you're giving to us, because obviously if we had the solution before, we would have not went to moon. Obviously, Earth is so beautiful. Here it's too tough for us, but still we're managing, so it's fine. So ma'am, I would like to know what kind of challenges are you facing while giving us the solution?
A lot of challenges, right? So if we look at the entire approach in which farming is done today, we look at a plant as a single organism, whereas it is not so. It's a farm as a community approach that we must take. So when we have developed newer seeds, when we develop new chemicals, when we develop new insecticides, pesticides, we always take a very narrow approach and we're not looking at the holistic picture at all. So the first challenge lies in development or innovation thought process itself. But the second challenge lies on the end of the farmer or the consumer who is using these solutions, because he unfortunately does not have the time, right, to wait like you guys.
Very true, ma'am.
He doesn't have the time or the patience or the luxury to wait. And so he ends up using the toxic chemicals or the toxic insecticides, pesticides, which he actually does not want to do. So
yes,
it's a challenge to meet his expectation and challenge to provide fast acting solutions.
See, climate change is also affecting this tree plantation system, and it has to be introduced. If it was introduced, then we would have not been in such situation, but what can we do, right? So let's just talk about tree plantation. What do you think about that, ma'am?
Yeah, the first, I wish we didn't have to do tree plantations, because that would mean our natural forests were conserved. But I think that the approach towards tree plantation has to be that we replicate systems that we destroyed, right? So it means that we should understand, follow what kind of trees grew in the forest and plant similar kind of trees. So our native birds, our native insects, our native animals can find shelter, can find food, and then the ecosystem balance is restored. So I feel a lot of tree plantation is necessary and a lot of people are uh, taking steps to do it, but educating ourselves into what kind of trees should we plant, where should we plant them, should we plant similar just one kind of trees, should we just go on planting mangoes, should we just go on planting tamarind, what should we plant? So that understanding is very important. And I see a lot of people are taking steps towards that also here on earth. So I hope that we are able to replicate and conserve our natural forests the way they were.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I think we can come back very soon. But that's just a dream. But still, people are working for it. Thank you so much for it. So if you see, let's go to some fun part. If you wanted a movie to be made on this kind of stuff, you see, which is very important because we are on moon right now. Our situation is very bad. So, what kind of movie would you suggest is a perfect idea for this? Because we have to inspire people. People are not understanding because of the causes, you see. People are not understanding what is happening around. They are not understanding at all. They will come in our situation and they will understand. Tree plantation movies can happen, but what kind of a movie can be there in agriculture? Like, you know, in that, what kind of a situation should be there, like related to climate change?
Oh, well, I think I'd love to see a movie where um, the world is, facing food shortage, and how Indian farmers, smallholder farmers, right? I mean, we have
Yeah.
small farmers. So how these farmers, rally up and feed the entire nation. And we can, because we have the power to do so. So I'd love to see a movie how startups play a role in ensuring that all of these nitty-gritties are managed, who plants what, when to procure it, store it, supply, and then how we go on and make sure that the entire world has enough food. I'd love to see something made on these lines.
Enough of this thing, just knowing about the world. I want to know about your childhood. Did you thought that you will be working about this kind of thing ever in because at your time I think it was a lot beautiful than us.
Absolutely. So I was very fortunate to, experience fields. My maternal side, my grandmothers, they always had fields, and every vacation I used to go there and visit and live on the farms. I used to see my grandmother work on the field. So I grew up in. I was very blessed to grow up in proximity of the farms. I plucked berries from the trees
Oh,
and
that's
I ate
wonderful.
them. Yeah. So I was very connected, yes, and I loved it, yes. But did I think I would do this as a profession? No. So I accidentally came this way, but I think it was meant to be.
Accidents are good, you see.
Yeah, absolutely.
You used the word fertilizer. So you see, in a very, when we were on Earth, a lot of people used to have a lot of conflicts between using a fertilizer and not using a fertilizer. There is also a thing organic, farming was also happening. So what do you think that it can sustain all these? Can you just enlighten us about this stuff?
Sure, sure. So basically, in a natural environment, in a forest, nobody is going and fertilizing it, but there's still so tall trees standing. But there's a system which makes sure that whatever the plant is taking out of it gets added back to the soil. When we are doing a commercial level agriculture, which means that we farm continuously, we don't let anything replenish into the soil, then we need to add something artificially into the soil to ensure that the plant is able to get all the nutrients it requires for its survival. There are two ways of doing that. One is by organic methods, which means that we take biomass, we compost it, we take microbes, and we add it to the soil. Or the other way is to add synthetic fertilizers, which means that you artificially produce these specific compounds and add it into the soil. So organic way is a lengthy process. We need to do a lot of things to make sure that the soil has complete nutrition, but it is a better way of doing it. It nurtures the soil, it keeps the microorganisms alive, and so on a long-term basis, this is more sustainable. If you ask me which is the better way, I would say no extreme is making chemicals out as evil is also not good, but saying
Yes.
that 100% organic is the only way, that is also not good. So we've seen what happens when we go a complete 100% way, as you know, our neighboring country Sri Lanka did, and they started facing food shortages, and
Yes.
then there were riots. So everything has to happen in balance. So the takeaway is everything needs a balance, and if the balance tipped anyway, then we are going to see a catastrophe. So it's best to stay in the middle and keep everything balanced.
That's wonderful, ma'am, and that is so true that we have to know the real facts of the situation also, because we are a lot of population already, obviously. So we also need something to feed on, obviously. So we can't just stand with the organic stuff all the time. But as we are on moon, so we have a lot of issues related to that. We need to survive on packet thing.
That was awesome.
And there is more to come.
We'll see you in the next episode.